All right, let's get right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful savings tools out there for Canadians, the Registered Disability Savings Plan, or, the RDSP. It's all about building long-term financial security for people with disabilities, and it is a real game changer. But here's the thing. This is not just some regular old savings account. Nope. You should think of it more like a supercharged plan, where the Government of Canada literally becomes your savings partner. And that partnership? Well, that's the secret sauce that provides some seriously significant support. So that leads to the big question, right? How on earth does this plan take the money you put in and multiply it? Stick with me here, because the way this whole thing works is actually pretty incredible. So first things first, let's start with the big idea. At its heart, what exactly is an RDSP? Well, in a nutshell, it's a long-term savings plan where the government actively helps you save. You put your money in, and then the government comes along and adds more money right on top through things called grants and bonds, which go straight into your account. And this is where that partnership gets really interesting. The government can kick in up to a lifetime maximum of $70,000 in what are called Canada Disability Savings Grants. That is a massive, massive boost to whatever you're able to save on your own. But wait, it doesn't stop there. For people with lower or modest incomes, the government can also deposit Canada Disability Savings Bonds into the account, up to $20,000 over a lifetime. And you want to hear the best part? You don't even have to contribute a single dime of your own money to get the bond. So what does this matching look like in the real world? Well, depending on your income, for every single dollar you put in, the government can match it with up to $3. That's a 300% return on your money before it's even had a chance to be invested. I mean, that's just an unbelievable way to accelerate your savings. And the perks just keep on coming. First off, any money your investments like grows completely tax-deferred, which helps it grow way faster. Second, it's not just you who can contribute. Friends and family can chip in too. Third, you can actually go back and catch up on any unused government grants and bonds from the past decade. And finally, and this one is huge, having an RDSP usually won't mess with your other provincial disability or income benefits. So right about now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds amazing. Where do I sign up? Well, hold on, because there's one absolutely crucial first step. You can think of it as the golden ticket. That golden ticket is the Disability Tax Credit, or the DTC. You absolutely 100% must be approved for the DTC before you can even think about opening an RDSP. It's the non-negotiable key that unlocks this entire program. No DTC, no RDSP. It's that simple. Now, applying might sound like a headache, but it really just boils down to 3 main steps. First, you or your representative fill out your part of the form. Second, you get your doctor or another qualified medical practitioner to fill out their section. And third, you just send that completed form off to the CRA. That's pretty much the whole process. Okay, so let's say you've got your DTC approval, which, by the way, is fantastic news. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of actually setting up your plan. So, who's eligible to have one of these plans open for them? The rules are pretty straightforward. You got to be a Canadian resident, have a social insurance number, you need that all-important DTC approval, and you have to be under 60 years old. And who's in charge of the account? Well, if the person with the disability, the beneficiary, is an adult who can handle their own finances, they're called the holder, and they manage it themselves. If not, then a parent, a guardian, or someone else who qualifies can be the holder and manage the plan on their behalf. And the final piece of the puzzle? It's actually the easiest part. You just have to pick a bank or another financial institution that offers RDSPs, book a meeting, and they'll help you with all the paperwork to get that account officially up and running. All right, now for the really fun part. Once the plan is open, how does your money actually grow? And, just as important, what are the rules for eventually taking it out? So, your RDSP has 3 different engines that make it grow. You've got your personal contributions from you, family, or friends. Then you've got the government money, the grants and bonds. And finally, you've got the investment returns that all that money earns, which gets to grow tax-deferred. It's a powerful combo. Now, there is a limit on how much you can personally contribute over your lifetime, and that number is $200,000. But what's really important to remember is that all that money from government grants and bonds, it does not count towards this limit. Okay, now listen up because this next part is really important to understand. The government money comes with a big string attached called the 10-year rule. Basically, anytime you take money out, you have to pay back any government grants or bonds that were put into the account in the last 10 years. This rule is there to make sure it's used for long-term savings, so you've got to keep it in mind when you're planning for the future. You know, life happens, things change, and it's totally normal to have some what-if questions. So let's quickly tackle two of the most common scenarios that people worry about. So, what happens if you're no longer eligible for the DTC? Your plan can actually stay open, but it's kind of paused. No new money can go in. And what happens in the event of the beneficiary's death? The plan has to be closed. Any government money from the last 10 years gets repaid, and then everything else is paid out to the person's estate. And, to really make this crystal clear, a Reddit user summed this up perfectly. This is a really key piece of reassurance. While some of the government money might have to be paid back depending on timing, the money that you or your family put in, that can never be clawed back. That is always, always yours. Okay, so let's boil this all down, shall we? Here are the key takeaways. Number one, the Rdsp is an incredibly powerful savings tool, supercharged by the government. Number two, getting the disability tax credit is your essential, non-negotiable first step. Number three, the plan grows from three sources: your money, the government's money, and investment growth. And number four, always be mindful of that 10-year rule when you think about withdrawals. So we've walked through the whole thing, from what it is, to how you get one, to how it grows. I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Now that you know the basics of how this all works, what kind of future could this incredible plan help you or someone you love build?